Good evening, everyone. Before we start, there is a technical difficulty with our camera in the rear of the room. I want to apologize for that, but you should still have sound. Welcome to our Cicero Regular Town Board meeting Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Please note there are two exits in the rear of the room and one to my right. If you would, please silence your cell phones and stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
You remain standing and remember those who are serving in harm's way. Thank you. Okay, we'll start out with anyone who would like to come up and speak on behalf of any of the agenda items other than the public hearing. Okay, we'll start out. Counselor Hogan, abstracts.
Move for the adoption of a resolution approving abstracts number 17 dated 4/30/2025, abstract number 18 dated 5/7/2025, and abstract number 19 dated 5/14/2025.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no, abstain, passed. The next one will be the public hearing regarding the deed restrictions at 6341 Island Road. This time I wish to waive the reading of the legal notice that posted and advertised at the proper time.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody else up here like to say anything about it? No? Okay, we'll open the public hearing at 6:31.
31.
Okay, anybody like to come up and speak on behalf or against?
Good evening, Judy Boyke, Muskrat Bay. I'd like to speak in favor of this. I don't know if you've all seen this building that Mr. Massey had put up. And for the opportunity, because it's not changing anything, that the Stellar Roofing, which would bring obviously a new business to the town, I think it's appropriate, and I'm speaking in favor. Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you. Anyone else? No? That being said, we'll close the public hearing at 6:32. Okay. No board comments? No? Okay, move for the adoption of a resolution declaring the application from Patricia Massey for an amendment of the deed restriction for the property located at 6341 Island Road, Cicero, New York, tax map number 053-03-01.0 to allow the use of the property by Stellar Roofing as an unlisted action for the purpose of seeker compliance. The purpose of the action involves no other permit granting authorities outside the town, and the proposed action will have no negative effect or on the environment and does not require preparation of a draft environmental impact statement.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Decision, whereas Patricia Massey, owner of the property located at 6341 Island Road, Cicero, New York, bearing tax map number 053.03-01.0, submitted request to the town board seeking an amendment to the existing deed restrictions to allow the use of the property by Stellar Roofing, a roofing contractor business, and whereas the current deed restriction was established by the town board resolution adopted on September 13th, 2023 as restricted use of the property solely to storage or seasonal equipment associated with the landscape and plowing business. And whereas the planning board at its meeting on May 7, 2025, reviewed the request and recommended approval of the amendment to permit use of the property by Stellar Roofing. And whereas the planning board further recommended that the town board not remove the complete set of existing covenants applicable to the property, but rather limit the amendment specifically to allow the roofing contractor use along this previously permitted landscape and plowing storage uses. Now therefore be resolved that the town board, the town of Cicero hereby approves the request from Patricia Massey to amend the deed restrictions for the property located at 6341 Island Road, Cicero, New York, tax map number 053.03-01.0 to allow the use of the property by Stellar Roofing, subject to the following conditions. All of the deed restrictions approved by the town board resolution dated September 13, 2023 shall remain in full force and effect, and the use of the property by Stellar Roofing shall be in compliance with all applicable zoning board, building and site plan requirements and may be determined necessary by the town of Cicero and its planning board.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. Good luck.
Move for the adoption of resolution to set a public hearing to make changes to the town code, chapter 22-10, Board of Ethics on 5/28/2025 at 6:30 PM at Cicero Town Hall, 8236 Brewerton Road, Cicero, New York, 13039.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, as discussed a couple weeks back, there's just grammatical errors, sentences repeating themselves twice. One specifically would be a complaint is to be submitted in written format, and then the sentence repeats itself again. So it's just trying to go through as many of the sections in the code as possible to just clean up grammar and make things more clear as possible. So
Thanks, Mike. Just a quick question for you. The Board of Ethics Chair on the first and the second one, did we contact the chair? I'm sorry, did we contact the chair on the Board of Ethics just to let them know that what's on the agenda tonight? Who's the liaison? I just was wondering if anybody contacted her.
it's just eliminating one repeat sentence
Okay,
and a couple of things for clarification. So
okay. And then in the new position as well. Okay. Okay, that's all. That's all the question I had. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
move adoption resolution to appoint Patricia Silverman to the Board of Ethics.
Second.
Discussion?
I'm sure you've checked into this, but our code does have restrictions as to the number of members of different political parties that can be on the board. So have you checked to make sure that this appointment does not run afoul?
This does not. It's no more than 2 from each party.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And then going through, I noticed there was an opening, so I figured, hey,
Yeah.
fill
Makes
it.
sense.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain? I'm gonna vote no.
Move the adoption of resolution to approve and authorize the town supervisor to execute an agreement with the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, under authority of Title 22 of the Homeland Security Act, 6 U.S.C. Section 651 at SEC, especially 6 U.S.C. Section 659, to conduct continuous scans of the town of Cicero public-facing networks and systems and provide conflict and vulnerability assessments and reporting for the town of Cicero and additional services upon request.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve and authorize the supervisor to execute the parade permit for the James Harvey Spire American Legion Post 787 Memorial Day Parade to be held on Monday, May 26, 2025 at 11 a.m. The route of the procession will start at the Cicero Cemetery on Route 11, proceed south to the American Legion Post 787 on Legionnaire Drive, approve an expenditure in the amount of $500 to help defer the cost of the Memorial Day Parade and ceremonies. Budget code 001-7550-4000-000.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain.
I just have a quick
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry.
Did you want to just mention like what the $500 is helping exactly?
Sure. It goes for the help to defer the cost of the Memorial Day Parade, the food that they have there, they give out to the community and after the parade. Okay,
Thanks.
you're welcome. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Move for the adoption of a resolution approving Aqua Project number 9004202 application. Agreement calling for the installation of a fire hydrant number 15321 on Brewerton Road for the Brewerton Animal Hospital. The project is shown and referred to as map file number 1023. According to the agreement, Aqua will install the hydrant at the owner's sole expense. The town will be notified when the installation is complete, and therefore the Brewerton Water District will be billed an annual hydrant maintenance expense, which is currently $92.96 per hydrant.
Second.
Discussion?
It's kind of on the topic, kind of not on the topic, so I do apologize for the second part. Does Aqua let us know the hydrants they plan on looking at each month?
You mean looking at as
For
far
the,
as
for, for the
maintenance?
testing, yeah.
No.
Was there any way we could try to ask?
We had asked for a list of hydrants that had been maintained, and I forgot what period of time. I don't know if we ever received that. Maybe the supervisor can answer that question.
The fire chiefs were working on something with them and trying to ascertain that information from them.
But we can certainly reach out and see if they can give us any information regarding that. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no, abstain, passed. Move the adoption resolution to approve accepting $1,000 donation from Tracy Cosman to go towards the purchase of 2 benches for the dog park at Skyway Park.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no, abstain, passed.
Thank you, Tracy.
Move to the adoption resolution for rehiring the listed camp counselors and candidates in their hourly rate for Cicero Summer Day Camp. And these are all, I apologize if you look on this sheet, there's different dates. All the counselors, camp counselors start on June 24th, 2025.
Second. We're seeing it as presented, right? Or are you going to read them all?
Yeah, we have it in a doc here that it's as presented, and just I want to note this: 5/19/25, the toddler time coordinator will start on 5/19/25 at a rate of 25. Okay, as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no, or abstain, passed. Move the adoption resolution to approve an estimated expenditure of $30,759 to AstroTurf Corporation to provide materials and labor necessary for the conversion of the tennis courts to 4 permanent pickleball courts at Skyway Park. AstroTurf Corp is contracted with Sourcewell as a Sourcewell vendor, $26,000 of this project. Budget code 001-7110-4700-0000, and the remaining is charged to the Parks 277 Reserve Fund. Budget code 001-7110-4900-0000.
Second.
Second.
What's the reasoning for this? Why can't we leave them tennis courts?
They're moving they're not utilized as tennis courts, and I think they just built one new tennis court up there. So it's used as a pickleball court now. They just switched it all around, and they're just making it permanent.
What does it entail to like make it permanent that we need all of this money for that?
It's painting the pavement, striping the pavement, putting pylons in for the netting that's there. And I believe there's did they say 2 courts here? You want to?
I think it's 2 tennis courts currently, yeah,
Right.
which would make 4
Right.
pickleball courts, yeah.
Fencing as well. Okay, thanks. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna vote no.
Anybody wish to abstain? Passed.
Oh, sorry. Move for the adoption of a resolution authorizing the Parks Department to move forward with submitting an application for $12,000 funding for the purchase of outdoor picnic tables with backs for under the pavilion and billiards table renovations repairs at the Cicero Senior Center. The town board further agrees to fund the $12,000, which will be fully reimbursed through the grant. There is no required match.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain. Passed.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to hire the following as part-time seasonal laborers for the Highway Department, budget code 003-5110-0105-0000. William Alley IV, start date 5/15/2025 at an hourly rate of $16.50. Amber Whalen, start date 5/15/2025 at an hourly rate of $16.50. And Joshua Bazell, start date on or about June 30th, 2025 at an hourly rate of $17.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain. Passed.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve the turnkey paving with binder cold mix and chip seal for Comenika Drive and Pasubio Terrace from Suit Coat in the estimated amount of $265,000. Budget code 003-5112-4750-000.
Discussion. I just want to make note on this. A year and a half ago, I spoke to the state to try to see if they would be willing to pitch in some either provide the material or mill the area, because when they changed the traffic pattern many years ago, they stopped people from coming off Party and turning right or left, I'm sorry, left on eastbound 31, which drove all the traffic that's in that area through this area here. And we also tried to hold off on this project for at least a year because we thought a year too long, and we thought there was going to be some development. So we have no choice but to replace this road. If anybody's been back there, it's pretty bad.
Oh, it needs it, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
The Highway Department has received 2 bids for the replacement of the damaged topsoil shed. So move for the adoption of resolution to approve hybrid building solutions on the Sourcewell contract in the total amount of $42,000, $9,980.58 from insurance after deductible. Remaining amount, $32,017.42 for topsoil shed to be built and installed. Other bid was Brightspan at $48,126.02 and Clearspan with no recommended wind and snow load.
Second.
Discussion. The winter took a toll on us. I know it knocked some, what's up, Tracy? Oh, we didn't
Second.
get a second from
He
the
seconded
previous.
it.
The winter took a toll on us, and did some damage to the building as well, I believe. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Do you know when they're going to start building?
You did.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve Sherwin-Williams State Bid Number 23252 in the amount of $14,654.75 to purchase traffic paint to stripe the roads, budget code 003-3310-4000-0000.
Second.
Discussion,
Yeah, how much paint is that?
a lot.
That's it. That's a good price. I mean, that's a lot. I mean,
Totes? Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
I was just recognizing.
apologize.
Paint is very expensive, so.
Okay,
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve and authorize the town supervisor to execute an agreement with the County of Onondaga for a license agreement between the town of Cicero for the town of Cicero Highway Department to use the Pompey Tower site located at 7235 Siver Road, Pompey, New York, 13078 for governmental use for the enhanced transmission of radio signals between the Highway Department office and its rolling fleet, and also between such rolling fleet, providing services to meet the mission of the Highway Department. The town will pay the county a sum of $3,600 annually. Budget code 003-3310-4000-0000.
Second.
discussion. Wayne, this is for the radios. Gotcha. Okay, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. Counselor Bacali, you want to?
Yeah, I'll read the ALS Awareness Proclamation. Whereas amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, known by many as Lou Gehrig's disease, is a progressive, fatal neurodegenerative disease in which a person's brain loses connection with the muscles, slowly taking away their ability to walk, talk, eat, and eventually breathe. And whereas every 90 minutes someone is diagnosed with ALS and someone passes away from ALS, and whereas on average, patients diagnosed with ALS only survive 2 to 5 years from the time of diagnosis. And whereas ALS has no cure, and whereas people who have served in the military are more likely to develop ALS and die from the disease than those with no history of military service. And whereas securing access to new therapies, durable medical equipment, and communication technologies is of vital importance to people living with ALS. And whereas clinical trials play a pivotal role in evaluating new treatments, enhancing quality of life, and fostering assistive technologies for those living with ALS. And whereas we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Ice Bucket Challenge through a renewed commitment to galvanize public awareness and support funding, leading to significant investments in ALS research. And whereas the ALS Association, as the largest philanthropic funder of ALS research globally has committed over $154 million to support more than 550 projects across the United States and 18 other countries. And whereas our commitment to accelerating the pace of discovery remains unwavering, fueled by the hope that one day ALS will be a livable disease for everyone, everywhere, until we can cure it. Whereas ALS Awareness Month increases the public's awareness of people with ALS, dire circumstances, and acknowledges the terrible impact this disease has not only on the person, but on his or her family and the community, and recognizes the research being done to eradicate this disease. Now, therefore, we, the Cicero Town Board of the Town of Cicero, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as ALS Awareness Month. I call upon all Americans to join in supporting ALS research, advocating for increased funding, and standing in solidarity with those affected by this relentless disease, proclaimed this 14th day of May 2025. I don't think we have to vote on a proclamation, do we? No.
So,
Okay. Well, John, you want to give we'll both give a DEC update?
oh, yeah, sure, you go first, because I have a resolution which we would be voting on opposing the new DEC regulations, but if you'd like to, if you have an update.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, Counselor Bacall, I set up a meeting with the Congressman's office a few weeks ago. And just last week, Counselor Bacall and we had a meeting with the folks with the DEC, with the Congressman's office who got us in touch with the Senator's office, the DEC office. We have a meeting set up next week, I believe it is.
The 19th, I think, right?
The 22nd.
22nd.
Yep. And we have a meeting with the DEC and the Senator's office to go over what this means for the 100-foot buffer. And I know John has a resolution that he wants to read.
Yep. Whereas on January 1st, 2025, changes to 6 NYCRR Part 644, the new regulations now designated freshwater wetlands jurisdiction and classification went into effect. And whereas among said changes was the establishment of a 100-foot buffer of regulated space within 100 feet or 30.5 meters of a wetland. And whereas the town of Cicero has numerous wetlands within its borders, most notably Oneida Lake, which is a resource that distinguishes Cicero from other towns in Onondaga County, and which is of both residential and commercial importance to the town and to its residents. And whereas this change to wetland regulations has the effect of regulating the area within 100 feet of Oneida Lake essentially as if it were itself a wetland. And whereas the Department of Environmental Conservation is establishing procedures whereby a general permit can be obtained for certain common activities to occur within the buffer, provided that specified conditions are met, and provided further that an application is filed with the local DEC office in addition to any other applications, permits, or other procedures required by state, county, or local law. And whereas in addition to adding a new and unnecessary bureaucratic obstacle to activities as innocuous as vegetation cutting and tree removal for residents that live on Oneida Lake, the new regulations provide a significant obstacle to commercial development on properties adjoining the lake. This has the effect of reducing access to Oneida Lake for the majority of Cicero residents, as well as residents of neighboring communities. And now, therefore, the Town of Cicero Board hereby finds the following. 1, the new regulations are a classic example of government overreach and unacceptably burden Cicero residents and property owners and reduce public access to one of Cicero's most valuable resources. 2, prior to the enactment of the new regulations, New York had some of the most stringent environmental regulations in the United States. These regulations were sufficient to protect New York's wetlands. And 3, the new regulations are contrary not only to the best interests of the residents and property owners of Cicero, but also to the public at large and should be rescinded immediately. Someone's got a second.
Oh, second.
Discussion. It's pretty amazing how there's some laws and rules in effect and put in effect without anybody knowing them. So we're going to try to do what we can and see if we can get get some more information regarding this and how we can give some more information to the public as well.
My understanding is there's already litigation pending on this.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. We have
Get a vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain, passed. Earth Day. Tracy, you want to give us an update on Earth Day?
Yes, thank you. Earth Day 2025, the rain stopped just for us. Thank you, everyone who participated in the annual Earth Day community event. We cleaned multiple areas of the town of Cicero. We had a great turnout. It was nice to drive through the next day and see the areas cleaned and see everyone's hard work. I would like to personally thank the police VIPs for keeping us safe that day, especially with all the traffic that we've got going on and all the construction. Our highway department, the Parks and Recs crew, the canteen members and staff, the members of the town board, the town employees, and all the residents of Cicero, and all the organizations that helped participate in Okra's Earth Day event. I know Al Sturpey's group was out there, and there was several other Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts troops that were out there. The report from the Highway Department for Earth Day was 1.5 tons of garbage and 88 tires. Again, thank you all so much for your hard work and caring so much about our community. I truly appreciate it. And I just wanted to, we have a couple pictures that we did here, but that's not showing. I also just wanted to, if I could take a quick second about the dog park. The dog park has been since 2001, it has truly been a heartfelt vision that our former dog control officer, Barb Sharizia, myself, Gretchen, have had in the town clerk's office that we wanted to have, and we wanted for the town due to all of the love that we have for dogs, of course, but our rabies clinics and all the things that our office does do for the dogs in this community. And I just wanted to say that this donation is an honor of my beautiful Callie. She was kind of like the mascot of all the parades in the town of Cicero for 14 years. And I just wanted to make this donation in honor of my beautiful beloved dog Callie, my mom and dog's English Springer Spaniels, and all of the canines and friends we have had and we have lost over the years. With this bench, we hope that dog parents will be able to take a rest in the park and watch our furry friends enjoy what the town of Cicero has created. And we thank you very much.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
I just have a couple.
Mr. Supervisor, can I, on the dog park topic, apologize for jumping in.
Nope, that's okay.
I think Tracy brings up something that I think a lot of residents would really like. So when we do eventually hire a new director of Parks and Rec, I think we should have some sort of, I have a couple ideas, but a vision for a positive memorial of our beloved dogs that have passed on. I think it'd be a really good idea because there's still that hill back there that we could possibly make
That
into
was my
something.
vision and my
like, yeah.
start of it by having
So,
the bench.
yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds like a great idea. I like it. The Route 81 flyover is open. The bridge, I don't know if you had a chance to drive on it, but I had a chance to walk on it yesterday. Boy, that thing looks like a racetrack up there, I'll tell you. But Cicero's moving forward, and hopefully we get some of these other projects wrapped up here in the next year in Cicero, to make it a little bit easier for everyone to travel. But thank you to the residents for bearing with what's going on. Progress is good. I got some great news tonight. Before I came here, I got a phone call from the New York State. The New York Forward Grant will be announced tomorrow morning. That's a positive thing. That's the Brewerton, all the meetings that we had up in Brewerton, and the folks who are looking to invest in the community up there. So keep your eyes out for that. Anyone else up here have this? Nothing? Anybody?
Yeah, I just want to say too, and to kind of circle back as to why I voted no with the pickleball courts. Moving forward, I'm going to be looking for more of our funds to be focused on our youth. I think we've put a considerable amount of time and effort on our senior center, and we did just do a brand new pickleball court. So I'm going to be pushing for and working with whoever our new Parks and Rec director is to be putting more time, money, and effort into our youth. So that's field space, possible turf, playgrounds. So That's it.
Thank you. Okay, anyone like to come up and
Just push the button.
Okay, I usually listen at home and sometimes it's hard to hear, but I really appreciate your knowledge, Mr. Carp. But could you try to talk a little slower, even tonight? I mean, I tried to catch up. I mean, just read a little tiny bit.
I
slower.
apologize. It's a bad habit. I get
I
yelled
know,
at by
I know. I
stenographers
have a
all
lot
the
of bad
time.
habits too, and I know when you're doing it, you don't realize it.
No, I
But-
apologize. I'll make a copy available.
Ye-
So,
But one of the things I was wondering, looking at everything, is there was a new board of ethics person. How does that person get appointed? I guess, how do we know as a public that they're the planning board, zoning board of appeals, all of it? How do we know when there's openings? You knew, but did I miss something where there was an opening for something like that?
The research that I did.
Okay, but how do we?
I think the board listings on the town website note when there's a vacancy. Because if you go to the town website, I can't remember the
Yeah.
menu structure, but there's like boards and commissions. Yeah, under government. And then it has, I mean, I didn't look, but I'm assuming it said vacant. I don't maintain the website, obviously, but the planning board, it has like the names of the people when their terms end. And if there's a vacancy, it would say vacancy. So that would be
Okay,
on
but
there.
that would be for the same thing as this, for the Board of Ethics, that would be on there too and all that?
I'm assuming. Ms. Cosselman, do you know? Okay, yeah,
It-
whoever does
It
that.
says the term too, so beginning and
yeah.
ending. So you
Be
can
on
just
there.
keep
Okay.
watch and see when a term ends as well, next to each person's name.
Okay, because we can put in applications and that's what we do.
yes,
Mhm.
we always accept applications for all.
Okay,
Yeah, actually, I just looked it up. It says there's a vacant term expires 12/31. So that seat's term expires 12/31/27. There was a vacancy.
okay,
Why the vacancy exists, I don't know, but it's on the website. Yeah.
okay.
No,
that's
it's a good
clear
question.
Why? Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
I think the vacancy was because we didn't appoint somebody at the last, at the,
It might be that simple. Yeah.
okay, anyone else?
Right.
Chris Daniel, Pickett Lane. Was only going to come up here for one thing, but I'll come up for a second one as well. I just wanted to thank the board for the proclamation related to ALS. My grandfather was a commander in the Air Force and went down over enemy lines in World War II, held prisoner of war for a time. And when he came back, shortly after that, he did contract ALS and eventually succumbed to it. Never knew the man because he died when my father was like 12. But thank you for taking the time to recognize that, because that really is something that hits close to my family. Moving from that to my CPA hat, that's so much fun, just perusing the abstracts. And I just wanted to point out, I noticed on here that we paid $3,000 for some interest and penalties to New York State. I'm guessing it's the quarterly tax return. It says Q3, so just something to keep an eye on. Usually those things are preventable, or at least in my experience. So not sure what gave rise to it, but just a concern that that's money unnecessarily spent. So if there's things that can be done behind the scenes to kind of put some safeguards around, whether it was a delay in filing or something, to make sure that that doesn't happen in the future. Thanks so much.
I just wanted to comment on that. We have addressed that. Essentially what happened was there was an error in reporting as far as the dates go. It was supposed to be, I'm trying to remember how she explained it. It's supposed to be, the report's supposed to be dated for the actual pay date, and she was dating it for the payroll date. And we tried to fight it, and it was just racking up more interest, so we just took care of it.
Thanks.
Thank you for that explanation.
Anyone else?
Chris,
He's doing all right.
that's good. Good evening, Judy Boyke. First of all, I'm glad you're picking up where I mentioned about the DEC back in January, when I first heard about it. But also a reminder, Oneida Lake is Oswego County. It's not Onondaga County. It belongs to Oswego County, town of Hastings and the town of Constantia. So I don't know how far you're going to get with it, because you look at me, John. I lived on that lake all my life. Look it up.
I'm aware of where the line is, but the 100-foot buffer
There's
extends.
no line.
I'm aware of where the county ends, but the 100-foot buffer does extend into the town of Cicero.
Well, yeah, it does. But if you use Oneida Lake as an opportunity, it still belongs in Oswego County. Because believe me, I've gone for permits to put a break front in. And this was before this whole thing came about. I mean, there's a lot of regulations that go with owning waterfront property, but I appreciate, because Griffo, I believe, has been fighting this ever since the DEC announced it in January, because it has been in effect. Also, I'd like to know, with the fire hydrants, what water district is that going to be in? Do you know, Trey? What's that, Brewerton? But I'm in Brewerton. I want to know.
It was the Brewerton Water District. Yeah, it's the,
But there's more than one.
right, which number one?
There's a number. I'd just like to
Yeah.
know which it is. If Trey, if you'd let me know, I'd appreciate it. Also, the use of the town's cars. I thought that when someone's going to a conference or going to a class, that if the car is available, they're supposed to use that instead of their own personal vehicle,
Sure.
especially the comptrollers or the assessor's car. That was part of the purpose of that. But anyway, I noticed that the deputy comptroller was away for classes and conference, and there was a charge of like $270 for mileage and such. I just was questioning, are we still in that process of using the
When we can.
vehicles that are available? Oh, and I think that's it. Thank you. Sorry, I'm boring you, Mr. Carp.
On the
Tired.
subject of the mileage, we do use the assessor's car when we can. In this case, the deputy comptroller was coming from her home in Fulton to a training out in Schenectady. It didn't make a whole lot of sense for her to come here and get the car and take the car out there. So I just authorized the mileage for that.
Thank you.
Jay Verdon, Pony Lane. I want to express great support for this board's efforts on behalf of the homeowners on Oneida Lake. The DE stuff is absolutely outrageous. I would like to stand up right now and give you a better sales pitch than you presented so far for your efforts. We all might know a grandmother who lives on Lakeshore. And grandma's going to have a little bit of a problem now with the DEC's 100-foot buffer. If grandma wants to rip down a tree that's blocking her view or is impacting the systems in her house with its roots. Or here's a good one for you. What about grandmother on Lakeshore who wants to rearrange her deck in the front of her house, which is the lake facing way, because everybody knows that the front of the house, when you're talking about lakeshore property, is the lake frontage. So grandma on Lakeshore wants to rearrange her deck. Why does she want to rearrange her deck? Because it's not ADA compliant right now. So she wants a more accessible deck with a more accessible entrance to it. She has to change the posts that support that deck on her lakeshore property. And well, with the 1,000-foot buffer, grandma might just have to involve the DEC in issues that they should not really have to be involved in. Great job on the DEC stuff. Keep it up. Fight the fight. We're suing. We got lake associations all over the state that are suing. And putting everything in that we can muster with our legal hats. So please keep it up and express any support on behalf of the town that you can. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rob Santucci, Braniff Circle. I did not intend to speak tonight, but one issue that was raised just a couple of minutes ago about the Ethics Commission Committee really kind of made me think that in order for a Cicero resident to want to be appointed to something like this, they have to hunt and peck the town's website to find out when people's terms end. That's not very transparent. The town should be reaching out in some way, whether it be email blast or whatever, saying, hey, we've got an opening, whether it's planning, zoning, ethics. We should reach out to the community to try to find these people instead of saying, oh, well, had you checked the website and did the math on their term, you'd know that you could have applied, which creates a whole myriad of problems in trying to get this done. So I would like the board to consider more transparency when you're reaching out to the public to try to get people to participate in government. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I remember correctly, last year, Mr. Supervisor, you did have an idea about an app that would be more communicable with the community. I think, didn't you? Yeah. And at the time, I know because of cost, that was not for. Let's look at that again. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also have some documents that I put together in the last year or so. They're actually sitting on my desk in a folder. There would be criteria for being on a planning board or a zoning board or any of the other boards, and there would be applications that they have to fill out. That was something that I will present to the board as well.
As long as we're talking about being transparent, I believe there's a planning board opening as well too, isn't there? For a
Planning
ad
board
hoc?
ad hoc opening.
Yeah. So Jamie Party, 5980 Snelling Road, Dorking, New York. Okay. On the DEC thing, I just wanted to add some of my comments and some of my background with that aspect of it. You're not fighting this alone. This happened January 1st in a bunch of areas. We all know it's powers and numbers. I would suggest reaching out to other areas, in other places that happen. I know in the city of Syracuse, some of the streams, tiny little streams run through the neighborhoods. They declared them as wetlands, turned them into buffer areas with 100-foot buffer areas. But that's a huge tax impact as well, because anytime there's a utility work or anything done like that, there's additional permitting, additional stuff as well to go along with that. So I would recommend reaching out, getting more numbers behind you to support, because it's not just Oneida Lake. It's January 1st, there were several areas that were turned into wetlands. So I just want to share that with you. So when you fight the fight, that you can have the numbers go with you. That's all.
Thanks. Thank you.
Sorry, one more. On Lakeshore Road, if you really, and most of you would know it, there are many of the people who live there, their whole piece of property, including their house, is now in that wetlands because they only have like 100 foot of property from the road to the lake. So it's a serious situation, and it's really not a joke. And I've been fighting it. We all need to fight it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're going into executive session here with our attorney. We will not reconvene. Okay, move for the adoption of resolution to enter an executive session related to proposed or pending or current litigation related to employee history or a particular person.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, everyone have a good night. If you stay, we'll see you when you get back.
We still have to.
I'll make a motion.
right.
I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting.
Well, we have to reconvene
Oh.
regular session first. So go ahead and do that.
I'd like to make a motion to reconvene normal session at 7:33.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.